All right, thanks a lot for staying with us. It's still TVC Breakfast Saturday. Let's check out what the papers are saying. Now, of course, our attention being on the front pages. And on Saturday Vanguard, there are so many stories there begging for attention. Why war against terror may never end. That's the big story there. Fifth columnist, terror financiers deep in it. There's also more on this big story, talking about how top military men who tried to expose financiers of terrorists were eliminated. Of course, there's also another part where retired generals are also challenging the federal government to prosecute these sponsors of terror. Nigeria versus Cameroon, this is also today, that is a big day for Nigeria and its arch rival, Cameroon, as the ongoing African Cup of Nations continues. It's a day of reckoning as these two rivals, familiar foes, so to speak, will hit it off again on the pitch. Of course, seeking to advance in the championship. My biggest 2023 election lesson, says Peter Obi. You could get the details from Saturday Vanguard. You were caught in crossfire. Governor Fubara of Rivers State tells 9 commissioners as he swears them in. And regarding the Plateau crisis, a survivor is also speaking out, talking about how a sick neighbor who couldn't run was burnt with his family at home.
Well, quite pathetic there. We'll quickly move on now to Saturday Independent. And the big story here says, security experts link killings on the plateau to land solid mineral control. Assailants, both Nigerians, foreigners, say residents. Death on the hills, valleys increase daily. Local government chair they're talking. Fire got Ibadan INEC office. Again, another aircraft overshoots Ibadan Airport's runway. Abductors of Lagos, PDP chairman demand 200 million naira ransom. Also, party asks security agencies to swiftly secure his release. All right. Sit at home, Southeast still counting losses despite suspension. That's a report there. Let's quickly move on to the masthead now. The big story here says, the squads in NECO are staff cry out over promotional exams and beg registrar to reschedule. Council not under obligation to fit employees' bills. Registrar, they're talking. We are working to resolve blackouts. Power Ministry assures Nigerians. And those are the big stories there on the front page of Saturday Independent this morning. Kemi, over to you.
And next we look at The Nation. The boldest headline there reads, 15 escape death in Ibadan Air Mishap. Private jet overshoots airport runway. NTC suspends Martini Airlines license. Authorities blame brake failure for incident. And to other headline stories there, Rivers crisis. Assembly bars Governor Fubara from appointing local government chairman. Overrides governor's veto on 4 bills. Yahoo boy stabs parents as magic soap fails to produce fortune. And the story of the Lagos bishop getting a life jail sentence for raping his assistant is also dominating the headlines so far. AFCON still, Super Eagles, Cameroon battle for quarterfinal ticket.
Let me quickly, let's look at this big story. You covered the story yesterday. Lagos bishop gets a life jail for raping assistant pastor. Very worrisome, pathetic developments. What do you make of this? You saw that sentence live there yesterday. What can you say about this big story?
Emmanuel, it's indeed a worrisome story, and observers will tell you how difficult it is to prove rape in courts, in Nigerian courts. In fact, that is even one of the reasons why many survivors choose to stay silent. It's still a Herculean task. It's still a big challenge for the government to encourage people. We all know how rampant sexual offenses are, not just in Lagos, but around the country. Thankfully, the state government in Lagos here is doing so much to bring this, to make this a very prominent story, to make this a prominent task, on its hands. But then the statistics remain worrying, and the major challenge remains to urge survivors to come out. When it comes to the issue of rape, even back in school, we were taught about how difficult it is to prove cases. Victims will say, or survivors will say, they cannot even come out to speak because of the stigma one, and the fact that they appear to be doubly assaulted, not just in court, not just outside, when they had the experience, but even in court. And, what happens between religious leaders and their followers is also another issue, talking about, the mentality of many Nigerians who regard their spiritual leaders, their religious leaders as, even better than their spouses, better than their families, better than, or respect them more than their parents. So this is a classic case. Unlike defilement, that is a clear case, defilement, the issue of consent can never arise. A child is a child. But for rape now, for an adult, how do you get to prove this? But thankfully, just before I round off on this point, thankfully there were 2 rape victims, alleged rape victims. One was found to have given some form, well, the judge said in his mind there was some doubt as to whether consent was given. But for the other lady, the judge found that it was a clear case of rape and abuse of authority. And
it will also interest you to know. Let's quickly move on to the Punch newspaper this morning. The
Punch has an interesting reaction
concerning this particular development. Rape sentence, church members say popular Lagos pastor framed. Conviction will be overturned. Big one here, Kemi. The church members are also reacting.
Saying they will go on to appeal.
They will go on to appeal. And Pastor Travail, confirmation of devil's attack on the church. But why is it that when issues like this happen, we tend to link it to the devil? Very worrisome. And when people got arrested,
your power of choice.
When people got arrested for committing one crime or the other, they say it's the devil. This is their first time. But well, let's leave it here and get more reactions on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. We also have another line that says, convicts use dominant character to assault victim and she'll spend lifetime in Kirikiri prison, says the judge. Very, very worrisome development there in the body of Christ. Billionaire Banta here, Otedala, welcome to attempts corporate takeover, says Dangote there. Was an economic hardship for us, youth battle with depression, suicide. And also we have the AFCON there. Ego vows to, is it the now Lions of Cameroon in their round of 16? And 140 FG appointees to assess ministers' performance. And a big story there on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Police comb Ogun forests for abducted Lagos PDP chair as kidnappers demand 200 million naira. Coming over to you.
Blueprint Weekend is next. Quickly there, this story also trended the most part of Friday, talking about the $3 million bribe scandal. It's called, the lead story that is, End of Road for Mr. Integrity Farouk Lawan, as Supreme Court rules that he, the former lawmaker that is to finish his jail term. Goes on to affirm ex-Bureau of Public Enterprise DG Oko's imprisonment. And another story there, ICJ, the International Court of Justice, directs Israel prevents genocidal acts in Gaza.
We have the salient times here. NCCE shut down 160 illegal colleges of education study centers. A big story there on the front page of Salient Times. This morning, we also have here, while many celebrity marriages are crashing, Joker Silva there talking, Portable hospitalized days after attack says, I don't want to die. And that's Portable there talking. Why I support sex before marriage.
Portable is speaking.
Yeah. Right. Lagos PDP chair party leaders kidnapped on Lagos Ibadan Expressway. Bishop Feyi Daniels sentenced to life imprisonment for raping assistants. Our private jets with 10 VIPs on board Overshoots Runway in Ibadan. Those are the big stories there on the front page.
All right, so check them all out, to further engage and get more informed. All right. You're watching TVC Breakfast, Saturday edition. We'll take a break, and when we return, we further dissect the latest or the